All right, hi guys. Today we're going to go over questioning texts, and I'm going to give you kind of the general sense of how to question texts, what are good questions to ask, and kind of breaking it down into individual categories. So here we just have a general checklist of questioning texts, and so it's broken down into three little check marks. So the first one is I begin my reading with questions to help me understand the text. So before you even read a text, you're going to want to kind of come up with questions you have about it and how you're going to approach the reading. Next little check mark is I annotate the text marking details that relate to my guiding questions. So whenever you kind of come across a phrase in the text that kind of answers one of your main questions, you should jot that down either in the text or on a piece of paper somewhere. And the third check mark is I pose new questions while reading that help me deepen my understanding. So this is basically saying that while you're reading the book, you should come up with more and more questions to help further understand it and kind of get a new sense of where the book's going. So here we have our outline of kind of a basic way to look at questioning a text the first time. So it has it broken up into 4 different categories: structure, topic, informations and ideas, language, and perspective. And so these questions are just to help you deepen your understanding when you first read a text. And before you actually read the text, you should go over these questions and kind of try and get an idea of how you're going to address them while reading the book. So looking at structure, we have how is the text organized and how is the author structured the sentences, lines, paragraphs, scenes, or stanzas. So basically you're just looking at the physical layout of the book, so how the dialogue's being portrayed, or if they're doing stuff in poems or different kinds of paragraph formations. And so that's simple stuff that you can kind of just see by looking at the text itself. And then looking at topic, information, and ideas, we have what information or ideas are presented at the beginning of the text, what stands out to me as I first examine this, what informations are described in detail, what do I learn about the topic as I read, what do I think this text is mainly about. So this is kind of just the broad sense of the book while you're reading it. So you look at what information is highly detailed, what kind of topics really relate to you, what do you think the author is trying to kind of present throughout this book, and then just a general idea of the main focus of the book. Moving on to the language section, we have what words or phrases stand out to me, what words or phrases are powerful or unique, what do the author's words cause me to feel, what words or phrases are repeated. So this is focusing on the way the author writes and kind of understanding that when he uses these really complex adjectives, or he's kind of listing off in detail the structure of something, or really describing kind of the appearance of something, how does that make you feel? And why do you think the author is focusing so much on such a specific item or scene? Moving on to the perspective questions, we have who's the intended audience of the text, what is the author/narrator's stance, and how does the author's language show his/her perspective? So these are just kind of focusing on what reason do you think the author has for showing you or writing this actual text? And so what do you think you as the reader should be gaining from it? As you can also see on the left-hand side, it kind of breaks down on how to read closely. So it's initially questioning a text to focus your attention on those given categories, and then questioning further as I read to sharpen the focus on specific details. So that's kind of just how you should be approaching the text when you're questioning it. Okay, so here we have this kind of blank model that you should try to print out and do on your own sometime whenever you are first being introduced to a text. So it has the initial portion of approaching the text, which I went over in my last video. So that's simply just what purpose do I have for reading this text, and then the basic information like the title, author, and the publisher. And then also kind of a note on like what I already kind of gleaned from my professor or my teacher on what this book is actually about. So then we move on to questioning the text. So here is you come up with these own guiding questions that you have about what you expect from the text. So it's basically just what am I supposed to be focusing on and what are the key points. So here I just have an example of filling out that questioning tool model that I presented to you before. So for guiding questions, when I first on the first attempt of reading it, you have what words or phrases are powerful or unique, what do the author's words or phrases cause me to feel. So those are kind of just the general, just first reading what kind of ideas point out to me, and what kind of words and phrases are the author really stressing. The next is the question that you have after, or to help you focus your rereading. And so I have, how does Scott contrast the general experience of the marching column and the blizzard and the crevasse? So in the previous video I had, we looked at the text of the hiker going up the mountain, and the author had real contrast between many of the phrases of the landscape and the sound. So that's how I think I should have focused my second read. And a good additional habit to have for this is you mark down any information you get while reading the text that kind of directly correlates to one of your questions. And then after you read the whole text for the first time, get a general understanding, and then mark down what kind of relates to your first questions. You do another rereading, and then have more specific questions focusing on what you got off of the first reading. All right, guys, so that's what I got for you on questioning text. I'll attach some worksheets and other kind of tools to help you understand it and strengthen your use of this kind of lesson. All right, see you guys next time.